Your spiritual beings having a human experience.
Spirit Buzz 33 fam, welcome. Episode number 37. Thank you for being here. So much gratitude. Just want to take a moment and just tell you I truly appreciate you. You could be spending your precious energy anywhere, and you're here taking a little ride on the bus, chilling with my consciousness. Truly appreciate you. Thank you for having this earth experience same time as me. Also, happy winter solstice. We are walking towards 2025. So let's just take a moment. First make sure you're comfortable. Do you need socks? Do you need a glass of water? Are you sitting in a comfortable position? Lower your shoulders, unclench your jaw, get cozy. Let's just take a little quick moment to get centered, get grounded. I invite you to do this visualization activity with me, and if you don't feel aligned, you can fast forward or just sit and listen. But I like to use visualization techniques for my healing journey. I think they're powerful. We're going to be talking about them throughout this episode. So I invite you to think of some colors that really represent healing to you. I like orange, yellow. If we could just do a circle of protection for every single person that's listening to this audio right now, to this podcast right now. If we can envision this circle of protection starting all the way from the top of your head, all the way scanning through your body, down to the bottom of your toes. It's a warm feeling. It feels balanced, feels centered. And then envision it going out to all your loved ones, your friends, your family, your fam. Visualize it going all around the people that you love. And then if we could take that one step further and take it all the way out to the collective, whatever that looks like in your reality, to all of humanity, to the universe. And then if we could take that same visualization as it is so far expanded out into the universe, into the collective, and if we could envision that we are all connected, we are all linked, we are all connected to this experience, to a universal energy. And just think about the possibilities of being connected. Just take a deep breath. Release any limiting belief systems, any negative thoughts at this moment. All right, check in on your body. Make sure there's no pressure points. All right, fam. Let's buckle up. Let's roll out this idea that perhaps we created the experience of the drones. just diving right on in. Perhaps we created the experience of the plasmoids, or that we have the ability to alter what happens next in this reality. So on this bus, we're gonna be leaning way out the window right into synergic theory from the one, the only Jacobo Grinsberg. For the remainder of this podcast episode, I'm going to call him a JG. Okay. There's some mystery. There's some mystery surrounding him. So I'm going to just abbreviate, just leaning into a little bit of some protective energy here. You feel? All right. So he was born on 12/12, 1946. Mexico City, Mexico. His mom's name was Sarah. They were extremely close. So, JG, from a really young age, he was just very entertained, excited to learn. He really was fascinated by studying consciousness, science, reality. As he got older, he was, very highly educated in Mexico. And he even came to New York, like New York University, and got a doctorate in neuropsychology. He could be considered kind of a trailblazer, a pioneer. He was really into connecting science, some shamanic practices, some ancestral wisdom, spirituality, neuroscience. So he really dedicated his career, and really he dedicated his life to human consciousness and perception. Now, like I said, his mother and him were extremely close. And so when his mom passed away due to a stroke, this impacted him, in a really, really deep level. So he went even further into studying, the human consciousness and different thought processes of reality. So he did tons and tons of experiments. He was, really into understanding the human brain. Through his research experiments, he started to describe the human brain as more of an antenna versus what traditional science was claiming. And now remember, he did study traditional science. He was well versed in it. But he was so intrigued with the intersection between science, mysticism, between science, spirituality, science, shamanism. One of I think the biggest things that I found out in researching him that really propelled that intersection study was when he met Pachita. And Pachita was a Mexican healer that performed like all sorts of like spiritual surgeries or spiritual operations. Now this wouldn't have made sense to the science community because these were literal miracles. These were people that were coming in with all sorts of different health problems, behavioral problems, mental health concerns. And Pachita was able to heal them. And this just like boggled JG's mind. And he really wanted to understand how Pachita was able to tap in, to access this healing energy from this like this unseen source of miracles, of knowledge, of wisdom. So all his studies, all of them combined, he developed synergic theory. Again, he really described the brain as more of an antenna that, well, he described that it can interact with like a universal energy field. He called it the synergic field. So this field is described as this huge, endless network of energy, information, and it connects to all minds, to every single person having this human experience. And it allows everyone that's having this experience to connect deeper than conventional senses. So JG really was saying that what we perceive as reality is created by connecting to this field, by our mind connecting to this field. And he went on to describe that, the universe is not only like composed of just physical matter. And his research is, if you're familiar with, quantum field, quantum physics, it is similar. He says that the universe is also composed of energy, that transcends what science would say atoms and molecules. He proposed that every single person's consciousness, everyone, influences the field and has the ability to alter the field and has the ability to alter their own physical reality and the physical reality of others. He had a lot of really brilliant work on really understanding that we can change our perceptions, our limiting belief systems, things that hold us back, our thought processes, just working within this synergic field, that we're co-creators of this reality that we're all having at the same time. The antenna, our brain, he says, works wonders to decode the environment, seeing patterns. A lot of his work was really deep in using the field through practices such as meditation and like really deep meditation or trance like states. He proposed that this would shift the antenna, resulting in kind of a deeper connection to this field. And that's how JG was able to kind of wrap his mind around Pachita's like spiritual surgeries. That Pachita was connected to the field in such a deep way that she was able to bring forth healing energy through her antenna and then send it out into the person in need and transform their reality. And this gave JG like a really, more clear way of understanding mediums, clairvoyants, psychics, all sort different kinds of healers, all tapping in to this energy field that is available to everyone. So, Spirit Boss fam, I ponder. So first, before anything else, I really recommend if this sounds interesting to you, if this is calling your name, is to go look at his work more thoroughly. There are a 4-book series by J.P. Martinez that I really recommend. It provides really great examples of different meditation and visualization practices that you can use to alter your reality. And, if you are, perhaps like a clinical therapist like I am, or, you know, um, have some type of understanding, of scientific models, this is still for you. This isn't just woo. Like, you're going to see the intersection between neuroscience, cognitive behavioral therapy, other evidence based practices, and mysticism, spirituality, shamanism. It's not just like leaning only over to, the spiritual state of mind. It really is bringing in neuroscience too. It does talk about neural pathways, um, you know, how neurons are a part of all of this. But so strongly recommend either way. If you lean more on the mysticism, spiritual side, and are not super into science, or vice versa, or you have a good mixture of both, this is very compelling research. And to make it a little bit even more compelling, he disappeared. Just like poof, gone. And a lot of his research with him, which makes it even more sus. That not only did he disappear, but so did really relevant, important parts, of his research. There's all sorts of different theories. Some of his friends and family said that he seemed very nervous, that he was really trying to protect his work at that time. He was getting a lot of negative feedback from the scientific community, uh, you know, being called an eccentric, pseudoscience. There was people trying to buy his work and he was declining. So there's a lot of different parts. The books kind of go into it. So there's a little bit of a mystery in there with it, which is interesting. Okay, so back to the flying items in our sky today. So is it possible that as a collective, we are forming the reality as we think or as we connect with one another? I don't know. This theory is pretty compelling. So why not lean into that possibility, right? Okay, so what if we can create reality? So then maybe we decide what we truly want to experience and we focus on that as a collective. Or if you want to just stick to a micro level and not macro, perhaps using JG's tools on rewiring your reality through the use of meditation and visualization to transform. Maybe using that to become your most favorite healed version of yourself, releasing connections to trauma, releasing limiting belief systems, negative thoughts about ourselves. And so that when we ripple out into the field, either energetically or maybe just through reactions with every consciousness we meet on our day to day, that will then emit a frequency that is healing, like not destructive. We'll stop leaning into division and start instead leaning into unity. So I know to do so, it's going to take a deep dive, like a raw look at yourself. So perhaps, like JG's critics said, perhaps it is pseudoscience. You know, okay. Like how freaking wacky do things need to fucking get? Before we see science alone is unable to explain the miracles such as Pachita. And not only that, if you truly, truly observe the patterns, you can see that they go beyond coincidence. Beyond coincidence. Synchronicity, is a better term, I think, but it goes beyond just, oh, I'm just seeing patterns. It goes way deeper than that. There is something else there. I'm going to take my chances of being called an eccentric like JG. You know, maybe a true seeker, a truther, a mystic. And if you're still sitting here right now, if you're still listening to me, I'm gonna guess like you fall into that category too, or some label, or maybe you don't like labels. I don't know. But I'm gonna guess that if you're still listening, you're still having a seat on this bus, is that we're speaking the same language. I appreciate you taking a little ride. I hope that you look into his work. I'm going to be studying his work even more thorough, especially after I made this episode. I might, do another one on him in the future. But I'm definitely going to be leaning into his work and incorporating it into my practices. All right, let's do a little collective reading here. All right. First card, creativity. I think there's a lot of creativity into just leaning in to different practices to see how far you can go. Why not? If there's things that we want to change about ourselves, if there's things that keep whispering like, hey, work on this, like, why not lean in to any type of creative practice or modality, that helps you aid, in your journey of becoming your favorite version of yourself. And I think a lot of creativity, creative expression is healing in general. We all have some way that we, some gift, that is creative in nature. We've all been given gifts. Second card, inner voice. I think that the reason why I resonate with JG's practices so much is because they're through meditation and visualization. Kind of very similar. His work is extremely similar to Joe Dispenza's work. And if you've studied his work, you see that people, have all the same titles for him: eccentric, pseudoscience, like all of these things, very, very similar. But it is really harnessing, that inner voice. JG talks a lot about, identifying, and I'm just paraphrasing here, but it's almost as if he's identifying the automatic behavior, the automatic thought, going into this meditative, place, really working with your inner voice. Is there something else that I can experience other than that? And then you start visualizing that as if that's part of your reality, and practice it and practice it and practice it. And then when it becomes part of your reality, you keep going with it. Last card here, guidance. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm going to guess that you're on, the spiritual track here. Like, I don't think we're alone, homies. Like, I don't, like, I'm not putting myself in a box of only one belief system, because I think it is, many songs going on at once here, if you feel me. But I think that we have a lot more help, than we lean into. Guidance from all sorts of different, maybe the field, or maybe you use the word source, or use a word, universe, your spirit team, your spirit guides, angels, maybe you use the big G word, Krishna, Jesus, maybe these are all words that you use, but I think that when we're leaning in and we have a pure internal state, when we're leaning in, I think we have a lot more guidance than we know. So I think that that could be something that we could lean into more, is like have a little chat with your team, and of course follow your own intuition on that, on how you do it. If you feel like you need to be formal, okay. For me personally, I don't feel like I need to be formal. Like, I feel like there is my homies, source, the divine, create, like that I can be my most authentic self, and that's the most appreciated. It's a great, great collective reading. A little side note here that I want to mention. First, a little shout out to all of the TikTok live fam listening. I really enjoy you. But I came across this, for a winter solstice, is these different practices and modalities and belief systems, of things to do for the upcoming new year. My family doesn't know that I'm going to suggest this. They may now if they're listening. But I kind of took, the 12 days of Christmas, the some other, kind of practices leading up to the new year, and took, did my own little spin on it. And I really like this activity that I have been doing, and I wanted to share it with you in case it's something that you like to do too. So you get a little jar, a box, something to put these little pieces of paper in. You're going to cut up 12 little pieces of paper. On each piece of paper, you're going to write something that you want to accomplish in 2025. Now, they can be big things if you'd want, they can be small things in between, whatever it is that you resonate with. And then you're going to throw them in there, shake it up. And now you can do this part, of course, you can do any of it however you want. But of course, it doesn't have to go exactly how I'm doing it. But every day leading up into the new year, I'm picking out a piece of paper, and the first one I pick out, I put a 1 on it. Second one, I pick out a 2, 3, you're going to end up with 12 of them, 1 for each month. So then the number 1 is going to be what you focus on in January. So if there's things that are time sensitive that you need to get done right away, this may not be the greatest activity for that. But in January, you just go like balls to the wall. I'm going to get this done. This is going to happen. And it may be that the goal kind of trickles into the rest of the year too, because if it's like, let's just say I'm going to speak to my spirit team daily, I'm going to pray, reach out, whatever words you use for that, that may be that you end up wanting to do that for the entire year. So some of them are going to be transformational for more than just 1 month. And then at the end of 2025 in December, you take a little look at, because you make, you write them down on a piece of paper, 1 through 12, and then you do it again. And I really think not only is this going to be keeping track of all the amazing things that you experienced, but I also really think it'll build, each thing will continue to build. And then if you don't do it, then you're going to have a chance to check in. And if you do start doing this and you don't do it, I would say really check in, because you don't want to strengthen, that, pathway of I say I'm going to do things and then I don't follow through. Because that's an easy one to just keep getting stuck in that loop, right? So I don't know. I'm excited. Leave a comment if you feel like this is something that would work for you. I would love to get some feedback. Or if you have a whole nother version of this, that would be cool too. It has been a ride. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in. Your spiritual beings having a human experience.